Hello everybody, my name is Oksana and today I am starting a series of lessons about perspective. At first I'll show you materials that I'll use, like this very cheap pad for markers from Crayola. It's only $3 and I actually find it very suitable for drawing. This type of pads are a little bit more pricier. This one cost about $10, sometimes even $14. Paper is reasonable, but it's no different than in this cheap Crayola pad. So there is no reason to really buy expensive materials. So this is what I'll use today. And a set of rulers. You do need this type of ruler, it calls T-square, and I got it on Amazon. Then two type of triangles. One which is 90 degrees, 45 degrees, and another one 90 degrees, 60, 30 degrees. And this particular brand is really good. I got it in Hobby Lobby and they were pretty cheap compared to everything you can find on internet. Not today, but in some point we will need compass. We don't use it a lot for perspective drawing, but sometimes it's nice to have it, and you can use any school type of compass. We are not doing anything precise, any kind of like serious architectural drawing. So for our use, very simple compass is fine. And now I'll show you how I use this paper. It's probably a little bit different than you expect. First, I do not remove pages, but I disassemble the cover. Sometimes I remove it completely, it depends on a bind, on a glue. Sometimes I'll just put it down. In this particular case, I'll just press it down to remove some glue, and I need it for this setup. As you can see, it is very easy to make parallel lines this way. And we also can use T-square for horizontal lines, also for vertical lines. And thanks to these triangles, it's very easy to make angles 90 degree, 30 degree, and also pencils. Few pencils here with different colors, red, blue, I don't have green though, red, blue and black. Also, I use few types of mechanical pencils with soft lead. This lead is 4B. Some people use micron pens, but I found that they are good only for freehand drawing. If you want to use them with the ruler, they start skipping, and you end up with dotted line or skipped line or not clear line, and then you'll think like, why I just didn't use pencil. Today's material meant to be lesson number 2, but after I planned out all my lessons and I looked at it carefully, and I got an impression that beginning material is very kind of boring and not eventful. Nothing really gets drawn. So for that reason today we are doing lesson number 2. And while you will try to draw this, you'll have questions that naturally will lead us to lesson number 1. The first line that we make today is a horizon. I put it somewhere on the middle of the page because I want to draw above horizon and below horizon. The second line is a vertical line. It's also somewhere on the middle. This is a line of sight. Intersection between these two lines gives us a point, and this point has few names. One of them main vanishing point, another is principal vanishing point. Sometimes people just say vanishing point, but in reality, in perspective, could be many vanishing points. So that's why I prefer to call it principal vanishing point. In order to draw a square, we also need to know where will go diagonals of this square. And for that, we need 2 more vanishing points, which is diagonal vanishing points on the left side and on the right side. Now we need to decide where is our ground. This is basically a line where the cube is standing. and let's say it is somewhere here. I'm trying to estimate how to draw it because I want it to be exactly in the center. So let's say this cube will be 2 inches tall and of course 2 inches wide, in a way that principal vanishing point is right in the center of this cube. Which means that our observer is looking directly in the center of this cube. I'm trying to be very slow and I try often to remove my hands off the picture, so you would have enough time to draw with me and you could clearly see what I have on the screen. Sometimes my camera loses focus and I cut those episodes from the video, so you may well see some jumps, but they will be very small and I will fill it in this explanation what happened. Okay, let's find the bottom side of this cube. And for that, we need to connect 2 points on the bottom with the principal vanishing point. Now we have 2 receding lines that go into perspective, but we don't know where they end. And for that, we need a diagonal. I used left corner of this square, and I took that most left point on the bottom and connected it to the diagonal vanishing point on the right side. This diagonal and receding line creates an intersection, a point. Then I just need to make a line that goes parallel to the most bottom line. And here we go. We have second side of our cube. From here it's very easy to finish the entire cube, but I will repeat exactly the same steps to draw the top side. Even it could be done much faster, much easier, but I want this material to become easy, to become a second nature for people who do it. So again, we have 2 upper points which we connected with the main vanishing point. Now I am taking left point and connect it with the diagonal vanishing point on the right. I received here an intersection, a point, which becomes one of the corners, so it's where the receding side ends. And this gives us correct deepness of this cube in this perspective. And particular this type of perspective has a name, and this is 1 point perspective. The exercise that I showed you was when person looks directly in the center of this cube. But let's make few other cubes and maybe more like rectangular type box in a different areas. Let's start with a cube on the bottom, which will be exactly the same size. The only that perspective will be a little bit different, since this cube will be below horizon, and it also will mean that our person is looking on this cube from above. I will use t-square to minimize the time, different measurements, just continue the lines from the first cube, which will be exactly 2 inches. You see how comfortable this arrangement, when you can use the pad as the edge of the table, let's say. You basically can draw this anywhere. You can draw it on your lap. If you have not disrupted pad when all pages in place, and you do not have spirals, glue, cover on the sides to obstruct movement of your ruler, everything becomes fast and easy. And if you use some drawing paper or regular printing paper for this, by now you already see smudges and dirt on a page. But if you will use paper for markers, then you will not have smudges, or at least not as many, and all your lines will look crisp and clean. I'm spending a little bit of extra time to make all lines darker, so you could see better. I'm sorry for this delay, and hopefully you just use this time to prepare your surface for the next step. We will start construct this bottom cube repeating the same steps. So at first I connect both lower points to the main vanishing point or principal vanishing point. We receive receding lines. Now we need to find how deep those lines go, and this time I am taking a corner on the right side, so this point in the lower corner on the right side, and connect it with the diagonal vanishing point on the left side. We receive intersection with the receding line on the left, and through this point we make a line that is parallel to the front side, and here we go, we have a bottom shape, which is a square shape of a future cube. Now we will repeat these steps in order to build the top side of the cube, and here we need to be careful because we will have to draw through the first cube. For that reason I am taking a blue pencil, so I would not mix up the lines. When we're at the point that we have two sides of the cube, so one is the front side and one is the bottom side, I can use the points that I have. So we have this inside point, which I can just make a line, vertical line, and in the intersection of the vertical line and the top receding line, I'll put another point, which is the end of the cube. And then you just have to connect all the dots. What we will have two cubes stuck on top of each other with a little bit distance between them. Now I'll make lines a little bit dark, more crisp, so they would be obvious. And this time I will not draw through, so I'm just increasing intensity of the lines that we can obviously see. Also, let's make a shade over here on top of this cube, and this way it will become really obvious that it's two cubes, one on top of each other with a little bit distance between them. By now you probably have some questions that arise from all this structure, and in order for me to answer those questions I need to make a video which is supposed to be before this video. But for today let's just keep practicing, and let's construct another cube which will be on top of the middle cube. We will also give a little bit distance, it just aesthetically looks more pleasant, and this way we will have perception of the space around the cube and inside of the cube. And I am starting the same way. I am building a front side which has no perspective, it's just a square 2 inches by 2 inches. Eventually we will get through all the rules of perspective. What I'm doing right now is the most simplest. 1 point perspective. It is just a beginning stone in learning perspective. And as we do that, as we learn perspective, we use rulers. As you understand that without ruler to be so precise it's just impossible. But when we have a knowledge of how to do perspective correctly, we can have a clear picture in our mind of the space. And when you go to plein air and you see some kind of structure, a building, you already know exactly how all these lines supposed to go on a paper in order to draw it. Of course, we still have to practice. Eye-hand coordination doesn't come from knowledge, it comes from practice. But knowledge will help. Alright, I'm beginning to construct another cube, and I am starting from the top side this time, just because it's cleaner. So now I need to use my diagonal vanishing points in order to know where this side has to stop. So I am connecting the opposite corner with the opposite diagonal vanishing point, and this time I'll make 2 diagonals, just for the heck of it, just to show how it works. It's already cute, it's already obvious what it is. So I'm not sure if I have to continue to repeat what I'm doing, since it will be absolutely the same steps again and again. I just finished the top side. Now I will build the bottom side. So I'm taking two bottom corners. I will use my blue pencil and I'm connecting these corners to the main vanishing point, or principal vanishing point. My blue pencil is hard. It doesn't leave very bright line. I hope that on a screen we will see those lines anyway. Now I have two lines that go in to the vanishing point and I need to know where to cut them. So for that reason I will use my vertical ruler. So I'll make a vertical line from the inside point in intersection with this receding line will give us the side of the cube, which is a left side of the cube. I'll do the same on the right side. So I'm making a vertical line from the corner to the receding line. And here we go, we have a top cube. I will do shading here on the bottom side, but even without shading, right now it is obvious that these cubes stack one on top of each other with a little bit distance. And while I'm finishing up and making this screen, let's talk about where we use one-point perspective. As you can see, with one-point perspective, very easy, very convenient to draw inside of the form. We can do interior design. So if we want to draw a room with the furniture in a way like if we see the ceiling, the floor, the two sides of the room, one-point perspective is for that. When else we use one-point perspective? Let's say we are outside and we want to draw a building and we look at that building in a way that our line of sight is 90 degrees to the building exactly. We will see that building in one-point perspective. And if right now you will imagine these cubes as buildings, you may have a question like what you can draw here, because we do not see the sides, we just see the front of the building. Yes, but the front of the building will have doors and windows with the window sills, and there will be deepness to that. And in this particular case, we can draw that only in one-point perspective. My heater just went on, so I will have a little bit extra noise. Hopefully it's not too distracting. Okay, so let's draw another shape, and this time we will make a rectangular box. So it's not a cube, it's a rectangle in the base of it. And here's a little secret. It doesn't matter what we draw, and it doesn't matter do we use ruler or not. We are always looking for squares and cubes in what we are doing. So here we go, a rectangle, 2 inches by 1 inch, but it didn't have to be so perfect. It could be some not comfortable number of measurements. I'm trying to be precise. So again, it will be rectangle with front side 2 inches by 1 inch. And since it will be three-dimensional shape, we need to know how deep is that shape is. So let's say it will be, if it's 1 inch, so it's half deep of the cubes, because cubes are 2 inch deep. Now let's start with finding squares. And since I took this perfect measurement, I can easily find the center and make 2 squares. But if my rectangular shape would be not as obvious like 2 by 1, let's say it could be a square and some unknown part, I still would look for this square. Because square is predictable. And we now have to build depth. I will try to go slow again. Now I am connecting all 4 corners of this front rectangular shape to the principal vanishing point. When I was drawing cubes, I was connecting first 2 corners, or lower or top, but it was 2. And then after the side was done, I was doing another 2. I did it only because it's more clear. It's more like slower. But if you want to draw a little bit faster, it's better to connect 4 corners right away. So I decided that depth will be 1 inch. So now I need to figure out how to find this 1 inch. And for that we have diagonal for the square, and square only. So if we want to draw a rectangular shape, we cannot use this diagonal for the whole rectangle. We can use it only for that area that we defined as a square, meaning that I will start making a cube. And we can use diagonal vanishing point on the left side or on the right side. It really doesn't matter. At first I thought to use the left side, but now I want to use right side only because it's more clear, because on the left side I already have the drawing of the squares. So here we go, this little square here, and right here a point in which the receding line will be cut off to receive 1 inch. If I will cut the line more on the edge that I showed a little bit few seconds ago, that already will be 2 inches. And we need only 1 inch, which is right here. I hope this was not difficult. I hope that's easy to understand. So here we go. I have some flying box with front side 2 inch by 1 inch, and the back side also is 2 inch by 1 inch. It just seems smaller because it's in perspective, it's receded. And we have 2 sides, left and right, which became a square 1 inch by 1 inch. And we have top and the bottom side, which are also 2 inch by 1 inch. And last exercise for today. Let's make another flying box. Same measurements, 2 inch by 1 inch. But depth will be 2 inches. Since I mentioned it in a previous exercise, and I showed you exactly how to find 1 inch, and I mentioned a little bit 2 inch distance in a perspective. So let's do it now. Let's just make a box 2 by 1 in inches, and inside into perspective it will have to go 2 inches. But we understand that in perspective distance becomes shorter. So those 2 inches, they actually will not measure in a ruler 2 inches. It will be a shorter line. And we will learn now how to find that line exactly. Here's my rectangle. I want to remind you that we can take measurements only in a square and in a cube. That's the only shape that can tell us exact distance. For that reason, no matter what I draw, I have to divide it in squares and cubes. So I will start with this rectangle, and I'll divide it in a square, so it's just perfect 2 squares, but I need only 1. Now all 4 sides of the rectangular shape I connect with the principal vanishing point. And I'm doing all 4 at the same time just because it's faster. And if you do few of these exercises, you'll become very quick with the ruler and making lines. Here we go, and you see even now you kind of already feel that it's going inside into distance. So now we need to find where to cut the line to have 2 inches. In this case it's actually easy, because one of the side 2 inches, which means the bottom side will be a square 2 by 2, right? So that's mean I already have that line. But I will go with all procedure, just in case if one of the days we will have this rectangular shape not such a perfect measurement. So at first I would find 1 inch right there. So this line here would give me 1 inch. I'm trying to put the ruler. Okay, right here. So this is 1 inch. very easy to find where is the second inch. Here's the point of 1 inch and here's the point of 2 inches. As you see, one diagonal gave us these measurements, 2 inches and 1 inch. If I would decide that depth of this box would be, let's say, 1.5 inch, I would have to use some other method. Today's lesson I want to keep as easy as possible, so we will not talk today about any complications. Perfect, easy, divisible measurements and 1 point perspective with 2 diagonal vanishing points. And that's it, nothing else for today. Okay, I will keep enhancing this picture, make some lines crisp, obvious. I will add some shading to make it obvious that this is three-dimensional shapes. And this is it for today. I have my lesson plans ready for these videos. However, if you have questions, you're welcome to leave them in the comments. I will not respond right away, like in the next couple videos. I will try my best. But in the end, when these lessons will be done, I will make a video that will be dedicated to all sorts of questions about perspective. I often teach this material in different language though, in Russian, but it doesn't matter in what language. The points that usually people do not understand are the same. So I kind of have pretty good picture of questions that I will receive about this subject. This is it. The video came to the end. I hope you found this material interesting and easy to understand. If you liked it, please give me a like, leave me a comment, help me to share this video, and hopefully soon I will make next lesson. Wish you all the best. Bye bye.